Holy shit. This series right here is something else. I had a feeling Studio Trigger was gonna do this. And they actually did. This series is very much an escape from reality into another one, and it's by no means a good one. We start off with David Martinez, and he's soul kid, got the mother working, she's grinding, she looks like she's some kind of EMT or something like that, and he's just trying to get through school, trying to do his thing. His mom, you could tell she's working very hard to put him through to school, a school that he feels he shouldn't even be in because he's that underprivileged. And things just kind of go from there. Something happens, they get caught in the middle of a gang war, crossfire. His mother passes away, and that one hit kind of hard because you get to see it. There's no holds barred with this series. It gives you every bit of that carnage and more. This series made me a believer again in anime. I was losing it a little bit. I wasn't following through on watching a lot of things, and anime kind of began a little stale with things, but I've always liked Studio Trigger. Kill la Kill still holds up. Gurren Lagann, one of my favorite animes. It just shows them from where they were at their most vulnerable to how they overcame and succeeded and became something greater than what they were. When we follow David after his tragic loss, we see he gains something, a part that he wants to put on him. Finds it in his mother's bed, underneath her bed. Devastan. It's a part that makes you faster, ridiculously fast. This thing is military grade, and it shouldn't be in the hands of anybody. The only part that is kind of bad with the Devastan is that you fall back into cyberpsychosis if you use it too much. In cyberpsychosis, you don't want to get there. That shit'll mess you up. You start seeing visions, things that aren't there are there, and you start to slowly go mad. You don't want to reach that level. One of his partners who takes him into the gang that he's at later on is suffering from that, but he's real quiet about it. He doesn't tell anybody. Not until you find out, and when it's too late, it's a bit critical, and he just messes the whole team up. David goes through a lot of ups and downs, meets other Edgerunners, which are cyberpunks, which are mercenary for hires, gets to dealing with them, gets upgraded. His whole body gets upgraded. He went from looking like a 17, 18-year-old kid into a grown-ass man just by having body modifications, just by doing a lot of work on himself, putting a lot of cyber tech on him, because the thing is, it's a bit of an addiction. This series touches a lot about addiction. There's sex addiction, there's addiction of parts, addiction of upgrades. It's rampant across Night City. One of the things I liked about that is that they do show you that. They do show you the addiction that's running rampant. If not in check, things can get out of hand. And you see that the city is just on edge. Everybody is just one push away from losing their shit. So, David is with a new group of mercenaries, and that Devastan that he has in his back was actually supposed to be for them. Because turns out, his mother was not clean as he thought she was. His mother was dealing in the back end of things, in the black market of things, so she was EMT. She was cleaning up the bodies and stuff like that, but guess what? If there was a part that was a nice upgrade for somebody, she would take it and sell it on the black market, and that's what she used to pay for David's school. Knowing this, and knowing that now he has to repay this group of mercenaries, these cyberpunks, now he's got to work for them, so he's in their crew and he slowly builds up their trust, and I like that. You see the progression within him and his group and how the group feels about him. Funny enough, he meets a girl named Lucy, and Lucy was the one that introduced him to the group, and she's the main I said the girl is like the main character or a co-character, co-main character in this series, and she follows David around. We learn more about her as we go along. We learn that she's had a jaded past. She used to work for one of the corps. So one of these corporate companies, she used to work for them. I mean it very, very lightly when I say that. She was a slave to them. She was made specifically for cracking digital code. She was made to search the net for people, for things, for brain dances, whatever it needs. Whatever the company wanted, she would have to get it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And her brain is very developed because of that, until she finally figured out that she was getting used and abused, and she said no more, and she just up and left. And they've been searching for her ever since. But mind you, this is when she was a little girl. She's a grown woman now, and they're still looking for her because she's worth that much money. She's an experiment that's worth billions of eddies, and they're not gonna let go of her like that. Back to David. He does his thing, starts building up more money, more rep, starts getting more eddies because of it, starts getting more and more work because of it, and he does a good job. He's a fast learner. He meets the whole crew. There is this one guy with big hands, I forgot his name, man, but that dude, he has a sister. His sister's named Rebecca. His sister Rebecca, she's a sweetheart, but she's like all bark and no bite. But when you think she's not gonna bite, she does. She has a lot of respect for Dave, and she feels like he needs to be taken care of. At first, it was a little bit sexual, but then she started to see him as who he was, and she knows that he's a good guy, and she knows that he's trying to do right and do right by the team, and it's somebody that could be trusted. This friendship with them grows, where she becomes a best friend and is always looking out for him. Towards the end, the friendship is a little bit short-lived because they get set up and she ends up dying in the most ridiculous way because they call out a big gun. They call out Adam Smasher, and if you don't know Adam Smasher from 2077, I don't know what to tell you, man. This guy's a beast. He is more machine than man. I think the only thing left of him is his brain. Everything else is robotic. Everything else is metal. And this guy, you don't want to smoke with this dude. This dude is just unbelievable. This guy is just ridiculous. He's kitted out. And the funny part about it is that one of the fixtures, who I just found out, I did my research and find out Giancarlo Esposito was the voice of Faraday, which is the main fixer. The fixers are the guys that set up the jobs. They fix the job up. But he's playing double sides because he's trying to get a bigger cut from both groups. So he's juggling between Arasaka and Militech. And they're both problems too. Arasaka's the one that innovates. Militech wants that innovation, and they want to repurpose that for their own means, for their own whatever they want to do or use it for in the future. They want that. Arasaka's pushing the envelope. The Arasaka Corporation, they push the limits to both technology, but their people too. They push people a little bit too hard, and it gets messy sometimes. So Faraday's juggling both because Faraday finds out, you know what? This girl, Lucy, Arasaka's been looking for her. That's a chip on my hands that I could use to bargain. And at the same time, this is all Faraday now. Faraday saying, we have this group of mercenaries. I have these group of mercenaries under my wing. I could set them up and be able to test out this particular prototype that goes along with the Devastan, because David Martinez, he has a high threshold of pain and a high tolerance of when it comes to cyber psychosis. He can go through a lot of stuff that grown men who've been in the army, military, or whatever, they will cry at within 5 minutes. He can withstand that because he's had so much go wrong in his life. And him being able to put this armor on, it was a complete setup. Faraday set them up to be able to test the suit. David got on the suit, suited up, and went against Militech because Militech was coming through with a large force trying to get the suit. But what happened? He crushes Militech, and then they bring the fight back to the city because this is all on the outskirts by the Badlands. So then he comes back to Arasaka. Arasaka gets scared, and they're like, nah, man, we're not doing that. 1-800 Atom Smasher. They call Atom Smasher up, and David Martinez is no match towards Atom Smasher. He thinks he has a chance, but guess what? The immunoblockers he's got going on, that way he doesn't get close to cyber psychosis, they're wearing off faster and faster and faster every time he uses the prototype suit with his Devastan. He's in trouble. What happens? He calls his team up because they already got out of the situation where they're at. He needs backup. When I tell you, the most heartfelt scene was when Atom Smasher just stepped on Rebecca and just demolished her, just completely killed this girl cold-blooded. It was the worst feeling, man. That shit was gut-wrenching. And David went in, but David had no chance. David went in, and he allowed everybody to escape. He allowed Lucy to escape. And let me tell you who the MVP of this series is. And y'all may not want to believe it, but I think he's the MVP. Falco, the driver. Falco, the driver, is the MVP. He got them out of every situation they were in. Got them out no matter what. He makes sure he was their getaway driver since day one. And he was their getaway driver till the end. He got Lucy out and got her to where her dream was. Her dream in the beginning was to go to the moon. There's a space station in the moon she always wanted to go, but the Eddies, there was just too much money. So they didn't have the credit. David had saved a lot of his money, a lot of these things, because they had a relationship towards the end, and had paid for a ticket for her to get away from Night City and go up to space and go to the space station at the Move and live her dream. And he did just that. He knew his moment was coming up. He knew the cyber psychosis was going to eventually catch up to him and degrade his mind. Before making that decision, he knew what the odds were and did what he had to do to put her in a better situation and in a better place than what she was. And that was very awesome. Very awesome. This series, I would give it a 10 out of 10 for me, man. It was just so heartfelt, so many different emotions that I felt during the series, and I really did enjoy it. I enjoy a lot of Studio Trigger's work. Studio Trigger does a lot of good stuff, and I knew this series, it was going to be good, but I didn't think it was going to be great. That's my quick short take review on Cyberpunk Edgerunners. If you guys liked it, please like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help us out a lot because it makes us climb up the charts a little bit there. That way we can put out more quality content like this. But yeah, this was a Dave review. Quick, short, to the point. If you want to know more, guess what? Watch the whole series. I highly recommend it if you go and watch the series. It's on Netflix. If you haven't played the game, Cyberpunk 2077, there's all kinds of updates out for it now. With the Edgerunner update, it makes a lot of things interesting. It brings up the action to 100. And the story, you could be able to connect to it more because of Atom Smasher, because of David Martinez, and because of Cyberpunk 2077.